In this last movie of this particular chapter, I'm going to be just pointing out the last changes that I've made on this subpage, the one that we've called download.html. So as you can see here, I've got an image and I have another div inside of the aside section. And unlike the ones that follow, this one has a different colored background. It's got some text in it indicating the version of this downloadable feature. It's got updated information and paragraphs as well as a button. And we have a very simple image right here. Well, the best way for us to sort of examine this would be to look at our source code. If we go into the code itself, we can see that we have our article section, and right after the article is the aside, and the aside is the last element that we've been putting together. As you can see here, we're inheriting all of the information for our regular divs, but we'll also take note that there is a paragraph here with an image inside of it. Now the reason why it's inside of the paragraph is because the paragraphs are inheriting the left and right margin that will align it to where we want it to be. Also, notice that this image has a class called aside pick. So anytime we want to introduce an image into that aside area at the top of the aside, as we have right here, and it's something that will follow in all of our subsequent subpages, we will just need to assign the class called aside pick, and that will do everything we need it to do. Also, right after that image, there happens to be a div, but unlike the other divs, this one contains a class called aside green. It's got an h2 with the name of download. It's got paragraphs with classes. You'll see one called version and one called update, as well as one that's just a normal paragraph. And of course, it also has that button for downloading. That has the class of CSS3 button 2. So if we take a look at our CSS, we can do so by going into our layout and then just looking at the CSS styles here. As you can see, I've organized everything with the asides, and you can see them all here. We had the div and the div paragraph information. Now there is the div source, which is a class that allows it to be a different color. Notice here's the aside pick class, and that just has a little bit of margin on the bottom right there. We also have the aside green, which gives it the background color that we're looking for, as well as the tiling background. Just going to collapse this for a second, and I'll open it this way so I can scroll here and we can see that a little bit better. I'll collapse that so we have more room. So here we have the aside green H2, and this H2 has the Bebas font that we've been using and just some stylistic issues. The main difference though is that on this particular H2 I've also included a border at the bottom. This border is only on the bottom and it goes from one end to the other end of the div because an H2 happens to be a block level element, so it takes up all of this space regardless of the fact that there is some padding pushing it away. The border still takes up the entire line. So that's an easy way of implementing this little line across any H2 that we implement inside of these green divs. We also have the paragraphs, which are set to a specific size, just a little bit smaller than the regular ones. And we also have the version, which is the darker text and it's italicized. We have the one here called update, which just has white color, a little bit different, and it's got a little extra margin on the bottom. If you wanted to add some extra information, all you have to do is to go to the edit rule, and for example, let's say I wanted this to be bold. I could just apply that, and now as you can see, we have bold in the updated version right here. So those are the elements that I've added to finish up what we've got here. I'm just going to preview this in the browser really quick. Make sure that we save everything, not only the HTML file, but also the CSS file. And now when we go over to our browser, we can see that we've got a very nicely styled two-column style of layout as opposed to the three-column that we were working with before. That doesn't mean we can't split this first column into two as well, But right now, this is what all of the subpages will be looking like. And in the next video, when we come back, we're going to start creating some templates that we can use to build up all of the remaining pages.